had been away. Haven't changed, had much to say. But man, I still think them cats are crazy. They were asking if you were around, how you was, where you could be found. I told them you were living downtown, driving all the old men crazy. The boys are back in town, boys are back in town. I said, the boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. The boys are back in town, boys are back in town.
All right, so in this episode, we got the stakes rising, with the NCR facing off with the Legion. Steph is trying to signal the Enclave. We got more movement on the Hank and Lucy storyline. I gotta say, all in all, that was an incredible mid-season finale. I cannot wait for the show to come back in 6 months.
Mid-season? Wait, isn't it the finale?
No. It couldn't be. It couldn't be the season finale. No, if it was a season finale, then what's of all the plot threads? I mean, if it was a season finale, assuredly they wouldn't have wasted our time with the Vault plot line.
No, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, this was the finale. Yeah, it's 8. It's 8.
No, it's gonna come back in 6 months. Definitely.
I'm pretty sure it's coming back
because
in 2 years.
No, it's no, that's not true. Because if it was to come back in 2 years, right? There is absolutely zero chance they would have just had Norm run around an office building for 8 episodes, right? They would have advanced our plotline. I mean, if it was the season finale, then the Superman would have came back, right? To have relevance.
True. But I'm looking at it right now, and it's saying this is the finale, and everyone is actually all set right now. They're not even really filming right now.
Oh, they're not. They're not even filming right now. Really?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
This is this is the last episode of this season, which is season 2.
It's not coming back in 6 months.
I don't believe so. No.
Yeah, okay, that kind of sucks though. All right. Well, welcome to another episode of our coverage of Fallout. We are the Noob versus Veteran series. Supa O is the noob on this journey.
What's good, everyone? What's good? Thank you for following us. Let's wrap this show up.
Yep, and I'm the Fallout lore veteran and BaitZaDust. And we are here to talk about the season, the quote-unquote season 2 finale of Fallout for Amazon Prime. And I guess talk about the season as a whole and, what we like, what we don't like, where it kind of ranks. And I think we can actually do a official, peak ranking at the end of this.
Okay.
But, with that in mind, I would say it's been a pretty fun journey that we've had with y'all. We've really responded very well to the series, and I want to shout out to all the people who are to show up for every episode. If that is one of you and you have not subscribed, hey, why don't you subscribe? Maybe, just maybe, we're going to go new places in our new versus veteran journey. But till then, we can talk about this episode. And, just to get out of the way, what is your initial thoughts on episode 8? As itself, episode 8, the strip. How do you feel?
I mean, I thought it was I the stuff I really liked about it. I really liked the Maximus and Lucy plotline of this episode. But because this was the finale, I would say that there were we had a bit of it earlier, but there were plot lines that kind of I felt had a very unsatisfactory conclusion, or they left it in a weird place where maybe they're trying to pick it up from the 3rd season onward, but there's some real when we look at it as a whole, it is some real this didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
But overall, I still enjoy the show. Yeah, the Maximus plot was fire. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. But yeah, there were some issues.
Yeah. I'll say I'm a little bit irritated
Mhm.
by this show because it's, as an episode of television, it's pretty all right. As a season finale, it's kind of poor, right? And that's where I'm kind of mad about it. Is it does a lot of cool stuff. And if this was a mid-season, as I, joked earlier, this would be great. If I knew there was like 8 more episodes that were gonna come at the end of the year, fine. This works perfectly. Um, because it kind of sets things up. It doesn't advance the plot too much for what you would expect in a season, but it puts things in a good place where you could pick them right up, in like a 6-month time period. And the characters are in a good spot where they have not completed arcs necessarily, but they're setting up new stuff. But as a season finale, it is unsatisfying. I'm kind of unsatisfied with how everything shook out. And even though I was right about, a few things, we'll go over the predictions that I've gotten correct in the show. It just was like I'm left wondering what the point was of all this, right? Of many decisions made throughout the season. The biggest one that I have is what was the point of having the NCR and the Legion um, be kind of reduced to these different zones and to be kind of a shadow of themselves if the end goal was to put them kind of back in the exact same position that they are in the games. Like that's confusing to me, right? It's like it's either, you know, make a bold choice. I wish the show made more bold choices with the lore. It is
But when you
overall, yeah.
but yeah, but when you predicted that them coming back, did that not so how did
We'll
you
go to it, but
okay.
it was exciting. No, that moment is exciting, but when it's followed up with like, and Legion are here, and we're just back to the NCR Legion
Mm.
thing of New Vegas, right? And if you play New Vegas, it's like, well, I've already done this, right?
So like it backtracks like too much.
Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like setting things up. I'm sure that I have an example of another show that's done this, but it would be like having like a um comic book show where the character starts off in a weird place, right? And it's very different than the comic book, but ends up by the end of the season like as pretty much exactly their comic book counterpart. And then you're like, well, if you're gonna do that anyways, then why'd you do this?
Go do all.
Actually I have a good comparison right now. If anybody knows anything about Devil May Cry, right? There was a rebooted game, right, called DMC Devil May Cry that a lot of people, fans, hated when it first came out because it was a big departure from the original games, from the tone. There were some gameplay changes. It was not made by the usual Capcom studio, and people were very irritated with this. And the game had a very bold direction for Dante in the character. Okay, he, instead of being like this kind of like goofy rock kind of character that is lighthearted, right? And very carefree. Um Instead he's like an edge lord, right? He's an edge lord that, swears constantly and is very irritable and it's like, oh, I don't care, da, 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 right? His color scheme is different, right?
Mhm.
He doesn't have white hair, he has black hair, and he wears like darker colors and all this stuff. But by the end of the game, they turn him into OG Dante, right? They give him white hair and the typical colors and like his typical Devil May Cry stuff and put him in a similar position as he was pre-reboot. Which is like, if that was your goal, then why did we do all this for?
Yeah, what's the point?
What was the point? And that's where I'm kind of at with a few of the decisions in the show, right? But
Mhm.
I think when we're to better explain this, we'll do what we usually do, and we'll break down the episode. And we can talk about where the episode starts, and that is in the Legion camp. And we see the Legion, like kind of civil war happening, and the Lacerda Legate, played by Macaulay Culkin, drags Caesar's body into the camp and gets the um paper that talks about his successor, right?
Mhm.
And we see that like the other Caesar, right, that was
Mhm.
there had died, right? He got killed during the fighting. So he pulls out the paper and it says on the paper, um, I am Caesar. I am the Legion. It ends with me. And that's not what he wants to hear, right? And our Legion's like, oh, what you got there, right? And he immediately kills him, and he eats the paper, and he walks out and says, "Oh, actually, it turns out I'm the new Caesar," and everyone's on board with it. Now people have complained, right, and said, "Well, Caesar's smarter than this, right? So Caesar would have wanted long term. You see, Caesar says he wants long term stability." And he would have he had successors, he had this and that, right?
Mhm.
One, Caesar is narcissistic, and he is petty, right, and whatnot. But even if that was not his character, one very important factor that you have to remember: at this time when Caesar died, he had as you can see from his skull, a gigantic brain tumor growing out of his head. Okay, this man is literate, okay, and he's scrawling out in his last moments like a child, like his last words. Whatever you say about Caesar as a character, I could see Caesar's worst impulses coming out as he's dying of brain cancer, and he has a tumor that's driving him crazy, and he's like, "No, I'm the Legion,"
Mhm.
because at this point, this Caesar is a Caesar who hasn't accomplished his goals, right? He would have lost the Hoover Dam the second time. He would have been pushed back, right, out of New Vegas. He would have lost significant territory. His top guys are dead. Um, and he's stuck with basically these legionaries alone. Right, he's not even in his original camp. He's stuck with these guys alone, dying of brain cancer. I can see him in his last bits being like, "Screw it, screw these guys. The Legion ends with me."
Like, as funny as that was, it is disappointing that I don't know if you're gonna ex- go even further in depth with it. Uh, but it is kind of, but it is kind of, it's pretty off that they didn't really do anything for the rest of the
Hmm.
episode outside of like I guess becoming like a looming threat.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like one of the issues with this season. I mean, not season with this finale in specific. It's just that they're setting up a lot of things instead of resolving a lot of things. And Legion to me, since I don't have as much of a, I mean, what I know about Legion is through you and through what they've shown in the show. Uh so like maybe if I was playing a game, I could probably see like the Legion is like this big faction and we need the Legion here. But as like a strict show watcher, maybe it's just me, but like the Legion to me just kind of felt like a one-off group. like a
Mhm.
real like a real like we've done the Legion thing and now we're on to the next adventure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I see what you mean. Like an episode of the week thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
like,
hear
the
you.
benefit
I
of
hear
all
you.
this call, it was just like, okay. But we didn't really do anything with him becoming Caesar. But hey, maybe next season.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's all kind of abrupt. It's all kind of abrupt and goofy, and it's working off like an almost video game logic of you get the thing. Like if I was playing the game, you'd get the thing, and then you'd walk out to the camp, and then you do like a speech check,
Mhm,
and people are like, "Yeah, I'm Caesar," because it it doesn't for me work in this, where he just walks out. It's like, what did his side win? Is this both the sides, or they see him drag the body in, and they know, like he knows, like how is it that he just put the crown on and now everyone is following him, right?
mhm.
Now I would say, how come we didn't do that the whole time? But you couldn't because of the the infighting. But still, it's just the way it goes down is just a little abrupt, and it feels like you're moving this plot elements forward so you can create a plot device. That's what they are. Like you said, they're a looming threat, they're a plot device, right? They might as well at this point be orcs at the
Yeah.
gates, right?
Mhm,
Which is disappointing because, I've made fun of Caesar Legion many times on this show. But they are a threatening faction, right? They
mhm.
are a well-staffed, well-equipped faction, and they do kind of absurd things, but it does make them into dangerous warriors, right? The whole bit with them is they are extremely capable fighters.
Yeah.
They're trained well, they have certain discipline and stuff. They're very poor, like, you would say, stewards of the wasteland and leaders, but when it comes to killing people, they're really dangerous at it. They have a really good spy network, right, of, like, Frumentari who infiltrate different places, who, there's a whole mission where you have to find out, like, a spy that's been placed inside of the NCR at Camp McCarran. There is one of their top guys is like I think what Volpe's I forget his Victa. I think it's Volpe's Invicta. And he is a like really dangerous guy because he is very good at infiltrating places and bringing down different organizations. Like they're able to conquer all this territory because of how efficient they are and how good they are as an army. They are a dangerous threat. They control a lot of territory to the east, right?
Mhm.
But you just don't see that, right? And I can understand they've been reduced to basically just raiders, right? In this state because they don't have Caesar, which makes sense. But they don't have anything really else going for them. And don't really have any other depth. They're just there as like a nebulous threat, so they can show up at the end. I wish if this was the end goal, right?
Mhm.
If this was the end goal, you could have had Macaulay Culkin's character take over Legion in like what? Because the Legion shows up at episode 3,
Yeah.
I think. You
Yeah,
could have had
3 or 4.
Macaulay Culkin take over Legion in like episode like 5, right?
Yeah.
And then because we're also meant to believe that they've been fighting just for the entire time, basically. Since episode 3, which I'm like, I don't know about that. You could have had Macaulay Culkin take over the Legion episode 5, and then have their advance be something you cut back to
Yeah.
throughout the season to show, oh, they're coming, and on the way you can show why they are a threat, right?
Yeah. That definitely
Because
would have made it flow better.
if you don't know what they do as a casual watcher, right, then it's just like, oh, these are just a bunch of raider guys. But like you could have had them, like, I don't know, you could have put like a tribe in the game, like a random tribe in the show, and shown Legion like conquer a tribe of people like on the
Mhm.
way to the strip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so you know they're serious, right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing I think could add it to their threat level. Um and, and when you see them all march down, you're like, oh yeah, these guys are for real. But when they all march down, you're like, they're for real, but like, I don't know how for real they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Like, to me, like, these guys are kinda washed.
Yeah, because like you kind of only get the Roman cosplayer part of them in this.
Mhm.
Um, and you don't really see all the other things that they can do because they're focused on other stuff in the season. Um, And if this was the thing you're gonna do, then like why use them? Why use the Legion? Why not? There's a million, not a million, but there's like a dozen other factions you could use to create this kind of tension. If you want a tension of group of strong guys that can threaten the NCR or threaten the strip or whatever. You could use the Fiends, you could use the Boomers maybe if they want to be expansionist, or you could use like any number, the Powder Gangers. There's all kinds of different groups of people that could be a threat for this. But I guess Legion's iconic and so yeah, this is my first points of contention. Now it is funny when Macaulay Culkin says that he wants to uh, go to this strip and make a palace for Caesar. We'll call it Kaiser's Palace. I think that's very funny because there is a big famous casino in Las Vegas, our Las Vegas, called Caesar's Palace. That is the kind of followed humor that I do like. But from there, we cut to the Lucky 38 penthouse, where we have the ghoul Cooper talking to Mr. House, right? And we find out that Mr. House is a AI, right? He's fully an AI now. I don't know if this proves or disproves my Venom House theory. Um, right now, I'm in neutral territory on the Venom House theories. Right? We're talking about theories I got correct. We are neutral on Venom House. We're unsure. But he does say that over the years, many people have tried to kill him, right?
Mhm.
And this is the biggest hint we've had at the career in New Vegas, who's the main character that you play as in New Vegas, where he says people have tried to poison him, people have tried to shoot him, people tried to beat him with a crowbar, which are all things that you can do to kill Mr. House. Kill his main body in the game, because if you're playing like one of the any other faction besides House, you have to either disconnect him from the network or kill him. And what did I do? I think I electrocuted him through the through the computer system.
Damn. What do you do to make you that mad?
Hey, man, he unfortunately my vision for New Vegas was incompatible with his.
I hate to see it, House.
So his body is dead, right? But he lives on as an AI, but he needed power to exist as an AI, specifically cold fusion, right? So with the cold fusion, he's like, all right, Cooper, like I said, everyone works for me eventually, so we're gonna work together, and you're gonna deal with this stuff for me. And Cooper's like, no, I don't know about that, Chief. And puts a gun to the cold fusion. And it's like, what happens if I shoot this? And House says, well, I'm not sure, but the explosion will be felt several planets away, which is crazy. It is crazy
Yeah.
that you're just saying, yeah, the cold fusion has that much power. But I
Yeah,
guess
just
it's supposed to be
living
infinite
nuke.
energy.
But, I mean, yeah,
Um,
but yeah.
Especially of how people were handling in the show. Especially how it's been handled in the show. To be like, oh yeah, this could just blow up the planet, I guess. It's kind of crazy. So
Yeah, that cold fusion don't play, man.
do not play. Let's not play. So, and Cooper is like, well, how come I didn't know? Well, they felt for management and in Vegas and in House. Well, that's because you didn't give him the diode. They come to an arrangement. And this is where I'm a little confused, right?
I think we might have
Where
the same question about the same.
yes,
You bring it up.
the question is does Cooper have the diode?
Oh, okay. No, I was thinking about like you're gonna bring up the fact that Mr. House wanted him to have the Pip-Boy.
Pip-Boy. Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
question on the Pip-Boy?
Why? Like, because originally, right, when he's like, oh yeah, just follow my commands and you can see your family, but to follow me, you have to wear one of these. And I'm like, and when he did that, I'm like, okay, there's something up with that Pip-Boy in specific, where like now that Cooper has put it on his wrist, he might not be able to take it off. There might be like some kind of like extra circumstances
Yeah.
with that. But fast forward, he kind of just takes it off.
No, it's just a
Yeah.
fancy Pip-Boy. There's nothing about that. It's just the Pip-Boy allows House to be in communication with Cooper. And also allows House to access everything like that Cooper interacts with in the Vault for Management.
I guess it was just the way he like told Cooper
Says
from
it.
me. Yeah, because he's just like, man, Cooper, this comes to show everybody works for me eventually.
I think the reason he's saying that is because it's kind of like Cooper hates the Pip-Boy. He hates everything to do with Vault-Tec. And it's kind of like the kind of the ownership that you have to follow what I say if you want to see your family. Kind of a bit. Now, what I'm confused about, and I'm very unclear on, is Cooper has a gun to the diode. All right. And and it appears that they're kind of working out some kind of deal where he is going to exchange, like, House will help him get to his family, and then Coop is gonna let him keep the cold fusion on. But we don't see Coop take the cold fusion with him, right? At least I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't
So, and House is still on and connected the entire time. So what I'm confused about, okay, is how does Cooper have leverage on House? Because he didn't take the diode out. I don't think he did. Yeah.
Yep.
So is it just because Cooper could force his way into House's penthouse and take the diode if you wanted to, and that's why they were dealing with each other.
That might be the case.
Because it's just like I'm just confused, right? Because like I'm not sure if they were able if House has a diode or not. Because like the way House freaks out later on, right, where House is like, saying you still have business with him. It sounds like, House still needs,
Something from
something from him and him to return the diode. But at the same time, I don't remember
if you
um
get it.
if the diode went over the House or not. Because we don't see Cooper take the diode out of the thing, and House clearly, for the AI to function, needs the cold fusion to be on.
Yeah.
So why is he slow? Is it just that House wants Cooper to be like his guy to do stuff,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
why
the
he's
other
so upset? Because he
yeah, that's
leaves a pit boy on. Yeah, I'm just a little confused with all these elements.
yeah. That's the other reason why I thought, like, I was confused at what the Pip-Boy did, because when he drops it, House is, like, panicking and be like, "Yo, come on back. I thought you were gonna work for me," and yada, yada, yada. But like, for me, it was like a real, like, okay, what was stopping Cooper from just leaving at any like, there was nothing there that I could see that it would cause Cooper to, like, follow Mr. House. Even if Cooper's family was there, what, was he just expecting him to just follow all the words House said?
I think he needed House to direct him to the vault and to unlock it for him. Because
Yeah.
without the Pit Boy, he couldn't unlock
Votes. Not
the
votes, the
thing.
cryos.
Yeah, the cryostasis and get into the vault for management. So
Mm.
that is my take. But yes, like I said, I'm confused overall because and also at the end, I don't know, this part will probably be trimmed out in the episode, but I'm just processing this. Because at the end, when they go into Lucky 38, right? There's the computer screen says no signal, like it's not powered on. But then
Yeah.
House shows up for a split second. Oh, I'm still here. But if maybe that's just House hiding, right? And
Mhm.
pretending to be off. But if he has the cold fusion, he'd be straight. He'd be good. I
Yeah.
know. I'm unsure who has the cold fusion, because
Eh,
if Coop has the cold fusion, then at least we would see a scene. You'd think we would see a scene of him like in his pocket or whatever. But Coop has no reason to hold on to the cold fusion. So who has the cold fusion?
these questions and more will be answered in season 3, baby.
Like I'm just like because I was like because then how does the deal work, right? How does the deal work? Because legitimately, right? Can't House, if Cooper doesn't take the cold fusion, what's stopping House from just like as soon as Cooper leaves, locking the doors?
Yeah, yeah,
Just locking the doors and be like, all right, bro, keep
yeah,
stepping.
yeah, it
I
could be.
understand that House I guess in House's perfect world, Cooper becomes like his guy, right? He becomes like the new courier for him and just does stuff for him. And he keeps him around, and because he needs a person out in the wasteland that can do his bidding. And Cooper's very reliable and tough and strong and all that jazz. That's all I can think of. But I just don't understand the leverage that anyone has over anyone. Like, because as soon as he leaves that room, and if Cold Fusion's still in there, he doesn't really got. I don't like
Yeah,
Mr. House is just worried about losing his top employee. I'm confused.
I mean, they are very management based at Vault Tech, you know?
I don't. I am. I know this is a very
You
long tangent we've gone, but
you don't understand. He was Cooper's Employee of the Month 3 times in a row.
3 times in a row, yeah. So, anyways, back to Freeside. We have the Death Claws, and Maximus goes really hard. Okay, in this
Yeah.
fight, he is. And I forget how many Death Claws. He probably takes out probably like 7 or 8
Yeah.
Death Claws
Yeah, I was
by
counting.
himself.
Yeah, he takes out about 6,
6,
7.
7. That was and he is in a fight for his life in this moment, and you get the full Ranger armor. It's really cool. He has he has little jet boosts in his hands. He got his rockets in the back. He got the blades, but it's still hard to fight all those Deathclaws, and they are damaging him and every little bit. But he keeps going. Like,
Yeah.
he's in this fight for his life, and he keeps going.
Yeah, and he's exhausted too. He's like granted his energy.
Yep, and you get to a point where the Freesiders are they do a really funny bit where they're betting on him.
Yeah.
They're like, we got during the action, and they kind of recognize if he loses, we all die, right? Just yeah, but we're still gonna we're still gonna put all these caps. We're gonna take this action, which is, I think, that's a good moment.
Hey, I might be dead, but my parlay ain't.
My parlay ain't, That is a very Fallout New Vegas thing to happen, right? As your death is impending, try to get one more bet on. Very New Vegas. And Thaddeus is like, well, we need to help him. If you're like, we're not doing that. Are you stupid? Are you crazy? And that is true. That would be a mostly a bad idea. And Thaddeus
But they
does
got
put
guns,
his bet.
They got guns.
Yeah, they do, right?
There's a lot of
Those really aren't gonna do a lot.
Hey, but the fighting spirit of a village can
Village, yeah.
overcome anything.
My prediction that they would reenact the scene of Spider-Man 1 and do you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, did not happen.
Yeah, they play with the bit for a little bit, and then they're like, nah, how about no?
Yeah, no. Thaddeus does put 500 caps down on Maximus, and he has caps all through his outfit, which I think is a fun one little bit. And Thaddeus does come in clutch, as he only has one arm, but he uses his foot to steady the rifle and take shots out on the Deathclaws. And he's going, he's still fighting all these Deathclaws off. And we leave him there. Then we go back to the Lucy plotline, where we see that Lucy has encountered the disembodied head of Diane Welch, the congresswoman from last episode, where you find out that the way the mainframe works is not only because you have the basic mind control devices that produce amnesia and wipe your consciousness, but in order for them to really work, you need to put a new kind of consciousness in it, right? And it turns out that the perfect consciousness of somebody who has you want somebody who's nice and a little subservient and will go along with the flow. And what better person than a ineffectual lib congresswoman right before the apocalypse happened? And that is just the nice, calm, pliable brainwaves that you can put onto somebody to enslave them. I don't know if that's a political statement that they were trying to make, but it is the one I've interpreted.
Yeah, no, that was wild. I wish we kind of saw the effects of after her head gets smashed.
I don't think it's like an internet connection thing where they have to be connected to the mainframe. It looks like they're loading up the devices with the consciousness. So they're taking the devices, right? They're attaching it to her head, and it's copying it into them, and then they can just put them in someone else. That's what appears to be happening, because I don't think it doesn't appear to work on Phantom Menace rules, where if you take out the mainframe, they all shut off.
Unfortunately, not.
So they Congresswoman Welch is does kill me. Every day is agony, kill me. Lucy tries to be we can fix you up. It'll be all right.
Set you up. You're trying that Have you tried a addictol? That might.
Hypothetically, all right.
Mhm.
Hypothetically, I mean, fixer is a well, I don't know, I won't fix her, but maybe they could put her head in like in a robot or put her brain in a robot. She could put a robo brain. She could have a second act. You know,
I don't know.
if she really wanted to.
I think at that point she's kind of like she's kind of done, bro. And if you put her in a immortal machine, yeah, she'd probably try to offer herself at every point.
Yeah, it'd be like that scene from RoboCop 2, where they are testing out like they're prototyping new RoboCops. Um, in like Omnicorp is, and you have all these different variations where they're all malfunctioning or killing the users or whatnot. And you have this one where he comes out and he's like, "Oh, this is working pretty well," and like he just lifts up his like helmet off his face, and it's just like a screaming skull. Like he just like screams like ah, like kills himself. And I think that would be Diane Welch if she were to be uploaded to a robot consciousness. Um, and of course Lucy doesn't want to kill people, but and she's upset that no matter where she goes in the wasteland, it's always like you have to kill people.
Yeah,
Um,
you're like I'm so sick of it.
but she does take her out. And then then we cut to the Vault Tech headquarters where we have Norm, who's getting dragged through the headquarters, and they're like, "We're gonna kill him," and then Claudia is like, "No, don't do it." Then Claudia is like, and they're like, "Well, you just started last week. You're not even one of us," And somewhere down the line, elevator button gets pushed where all the roaches are. And, you have that moment of them like, "Oh, well, the roaches probably aren't even that big." And then,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And
um,
Roach just started to put BTA on the vote.
which is wild because roaches aren't even that difficult of an enemy in game. They're very easy.
See, I was like Loki thinking, I'm like, isn't that like a basic thing? But I'm thinking it's
It's
because they're
extremely
just new
basic.
to the world.
They are
So,
they are new to the world, and you know what?
so
Yeah,
yeah, it's not like it's not like that's armor that they're wearing.
so they got torn up. And this is also one of those kind of like eh, moments where Norm helps a guy up and out of a situation, and then tries to get to the door, and then Rob's like, no. Ron's like, you stay outside, la, 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 la. And then somehow all of the rad roaches pass by Norm and go directly into the room and kill everyone in the room except his his
It-
potential love interests.
yeah, the flower run that was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's hack writing, I'm afraid.
That is
Um,
very. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very disappointed at how the Norm storyline kind of went because it had a lot of promise in the beginning.
had a lot of promise, and now I'm just kind of like, what was the point of that?
Yeah,
What was the point of the Norm storyline? Like, what did he do? Like, look, we did learn um something very important about FEV
mhm,
and Vault Tech, right? So we did learn that,
yeah.
and
And he had that message.
he had the
Uh,
message, I
towards
guess, that went to the Enclave as we see at the end of the episode. But other than that, it really feels like the only thing a Norm storyline resulted in was getting Norm paired up with a curvy Latina. And you know what? Good for him. All bless him, and all the power to his adventures as he is able to carry her out, and carry her to safety. And I hope that pairing goes well. But if that was your end goal, I'm saying there's better ways to pull that off.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, like, every all the Volt even Ronnie, like, just kinda ups and dies, and out of all the Volt guys reawakened, he felt like he had, like, the most promise as either, like, an antagonist or, like, an opposing figure, but, like, they all just kinda came and went, not like a whole Yeah, they all just kinda came and went. They all
Yeah.
it's just like, if you're gonna do this, why didn't you just make an episode or 2 about it and then j earlier just end it there?
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of pointless. Like what it achieves is it gets Storm. The only thing it did was it got Norm out of the vault, had him learn about FEV, and got him with with a little Latina, and that's kind of it, you know. And there's many pathways to this,
Yeah,
story wise.
at least we know that Norm didn't skip the the Super Bowl halftime show,
He
so
did not. Okay, Norm is loving the Bad Bunny performance, man.
Right.
No, for me, I think it would much interesting to have like it's almost like the show's afraid to make new factions, which is one of my big complaints. Is it
Mhm.
plays around a lot of old factions, but it doesn't want to build new factions. And this would have been a perfect new faction, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was
If if
expecting that.
if Norm and Claudia escaped, right? And now you have a group of, like, psychotic, like, managers
Mhm.
just out in the wastelands, right? And, it could be like a fun, like, Lord of the Flies kind of situation, right? Where Ronnie is just, like, tribal leader,
Mhm.
right? You could even have a bit, like, a much more fun bit. I just came up with this right off the top of my dome,
You
okay?
okay off the dome ski?
Authordom is you could have had, like, Norm and them you could have had that, like, them finding out about Norm much earlier on in the season, and
Mhm.
then Norm and Claudia book it, and then the rest of the season is the Vaulties hunting him down throughout the city, right?
Yeah,
And, maybe members of their group die off or whatever, and Rhonda becomes increasingly, like, unhinged
yeah,
and violent and becomes like his own kind of thing. And then they look up to him as like a tribal leader. And maybe by the end, Ronnie is you were a tribal leader, or if you're gonna kill them all, right? Or not even kill them all. The season could be, maybe Norm being leader and all is it could be like Ronnie and his Vault gang hunting down Claudia and Norm, and it gears up to Norm has to use his intelligence and his wit to kill Ronnie, right?
yeah.
And then it ends with like Norm as like a tribe chief, you know, of these managers, and they all look up to him now, and now Norm is like leading this band of people throughout the wasteland. Like
Yeah, that
that is
that
a much
is
more fun
infinitely
thing.
yeah, that was infinitely better than what they did because, like, bro, the normal one was such, like, because I really, liked saw the potential with this, when he got all the Tech members out and they were following him and, he was just kinda playing, them. Like, I saw the potential for,
Yeah.
like, a really interesting storyline here, and there was, like, episodes where when they didn't show, like, the Norm thing, I'd be a little disappointed. I was like, "Oh, I wanted to see what was going on with the
Mhm.
Norm thing." So for it them to just kind of, like, kinda throw away, like, all those characters, any, like any of them having a faction, even, like, the bits, like, I was, like, interested in I was also, like, was looking forward to, like, the bits of, the Voltees, just
Interact with the
interaction with
world.
with this dangerous landscape, maybe some die on some maybe some get, like, terribly sick, maybe some get radiated or turn into whatever Thaddeus is becoming, but, like,
Yeah.
that nothing. It's like a real
Yeah,
life.
like, have them deal with, like, like a radioactive bear attack, or
Yeah, yeah,
or 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 maybe they run into, like a raider gang, right, and they have
yeah.
to figure their way out of
We
it.
didn't even run into any gangs, bro. They
Like,
didn't
that's the other thing is, back to, like, lore-wise, Caesar's Legion started because the main guy, Edward Solo, was, he was, a follower of the Apocalypse, and he was just, like, a learned, studied kinda guy who got captured by a tribe, and he was able to use his knowledge of, like, Julius Caesar to, like, take over the tribe and set up his own thing. You could have had a fun parallel with the Vault people, you know? They could be their own gang. They could be like the managers or whatever,
Yeah,
and that's their own thing. Like there's so much potential here that I think was left on the table,
yeah.
and I'm very, very sad about it. Um, but from there, I would say we can go back to the main plot with the Vaultec facility and the ghoul is going through. the tunnel beneath Lucky 38 to the management vault. Um, and he says that like he couldn't like he wasn't able to get to it. Um, uh, and he was unsure, right? It was something that he missed. I guess this is a way to explain why the vault is not in the game, because it would make sense for something as big as this to be in the game. But it's one of those things where there's like a secret vault, and then he didn't count on it, but he said like the investors, he found out the investors, he found out the Enclave, and he made a connection between the Enclave and the Deathclaw that Coop saw in Alaska, and the fact that he knows that the Enclave somehow got the Deathclaws to attack Vegas. So that's why the Deathclaws are in Vegas, is because the Enclave staged like an attack. Who knows where they came from, how they got there, but it's kind of a force that they weren't able to fend off. Especially if House wasn't online, and if they were weakened because of something else. Yeah, I could see the strip being overrun with Deathclaws. Um, so he reminds them that House is like, this is your fault though, right? Yeah, this is you. You're the one who handed him over, not me. This is all your deal. Um, we see in a flashback, after Barb and Coop, did their thing where they gave the chip to the president, thinking that it was all going to be safe. And that nuclear war was averted. They talked about moving to Colorado, right? So like Colorado is actually a good place to retire. We can get past all of this, and on this way, we find out that Hank and Steph, right? Because Steph was the one who helped Hank into his room. She says Hank thanks Coop for in introducing her to Steph, and they said that they quote unquote spoke to each other until early morning. um and she says like she has a great resume for the maid, and that Brett Askins should give her a job, and also they're getting married. Right, they decided to get married. They propose to each other and get married. So I don't know what kind of magic Steph was working, what kind of spells she put on Hank.
But
um
it worked.
but
It's
yes,
that
that
Can
is a
it's a Canadian witchcraft.
And very important, very important. This establishes, which a new fact we don't know, Steph is Hank's wife, his first wife.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Um, which makes a lot of the past interactions kind of weird and awkward because, like, in a way, Lucy's almost like her stepdaughter.
Stepdaughter. Yeah.
There's some weird stuff going on there. Who knows?
I didn't even
You
look
know.
back at, like, her former interactions and the
Also, you get a question. Is Steph's baby her husband's, right? That she had in the vault, or
Mhm.
was Hank and her still linking up? Post apocalypse. Who can say?
Mm. Who can say
Who
indeed?
who can say?
Yeah.
But we get this connection. It's a fun little moment. Fun little moment. Um, and House is able to direct the ghoul to the cryo chambers, but also in a flashback. One last thing is they notice that all the phones start to ring, right?
Mhm.
And you have that kind of moment of like, oh, what's going on, and continuing. I would say as we'll continue that flashback. We find out that House calls Cooper to be like, "Hey, whatever happens here, it was not me. You did this to yourself. This is not my doing. I've rigged." He said, like, every game in here is rigged, but I was not able to stop this. And immediately after, Cooper looks around and he sees all these guys in suits, and he gets arrested by an agent from the House on Un-American Activities,
Mhm.
which is a real thing, or was a real thing, back, I think, in the 50s, into the 60s, um, during the McCarthy era. They investigated like any possible like communist or revolutionary, leanings that people had, and they would send guys So if you were planning like a labor union or you doing different stuff, they'd have guys at your house to be like, hey, that's un-American. Um, and also they targeted many people in Hollywood during this time and labeled them as communists, um, and got them kind of blackballed from Hollywood, for for being secret communists to destroy America. So if you were too too edgy or you were too kind of like liberal or left leaning in your art, or your statements, you might get a visit from the guys in the House of Un-American Activities, and get blackballed from Hollywood. In fact, a little more trivia: our late great President Ronald Reagan worked with these guys and ratted on several of his fellow actors, to the government, and labeled them as communists, and was able to, get his jobs through there because he was an actor before he became the president. So little little connection there.
Yeah.
So if you ever wondered why movies in the 50s, especially, were so like safe and cheery and whatnot, is that were heavily controlled and censored. So they arrest him, and then Coop's like, "I'm taking the fall for it. Don't, Barb, you gotta pretend and get away from me." But it's all about protecting our kid.
Yeah.
So I guess the divorce was kayfabe. Um, not real. It was all pretend. Because they actually do love each other, which also makes it weird because this is kind of a twist because in the future he doesn't act like this. He's it feels a little retconny because at the same time he talks about his daughter all the time and doesn't talk about his wife, even though his wife was like still loyal to him. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because it's like, I think it's just because like, once you, like, live for, like, as long as he has, uh,
Yeah,
it's not like you could you it's not like he fell out of love with her at any point, but it's just like, I don't know the people in Wasteland like this,
yeah,
maybe to Lucy, he'd tell, like, how much he really likes his wife
yeah. He
or how
cared
much
about Barb. Yeah.
yeah, but and even then, that's, like, iffy.
So back to the Vault-Tec facility, Lucy confronts Hank about the control chips, and he says that the original design was just to make men robots, but he wanted to bring some personality to them, and that's why he used Welch. And because she is a good example of someone who's well-meaning, sweet, non-threatening, docile, so that's a good version of this. But he reveals like his ultimate plan, and the fact that it's to miniaturize it. Because right now, as far as we know, all the control chips are these huge, big,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
things that tap into things. But he has like, and I think it's the same one I think we see on the mouse from early on. Remember when he's experimenting with the control chip, he was doing it on mice,
Yeah.
and he had these tiny chips on them. And he says, "Well, now I have this chip where all it's going to be like a small scar on your neck, but it can control you like that, and you won't even know who is controlled and who is not controlled." Which I think will be a fun thing for season 3. Um,
Yeah.
and, the big Legionnaire guy earlier that she knew that was attacking, the NCR agent grabs her and he's like, "Well, I wanted to work with you, but you're being all this, so I'm gonna make you into a nice, sweet little daughter," which is very weird and terrible.
Yeah, Lucy, why aren't you going along with my mind control plan? You know
Looks like you need more mind control. Um,
Let me just
so she's been held down. Cooper at this point saves her. There's a knife throw into Legionnaire, shoots Hank in the butt, um, and gives her a chance to basically say, "All right, it's up to you. I'm not going to take this away from you. I just kill him, but this is your decision." So I think she decides to put the chip in his neck and basically say, "You either you gotta listen to me, or get the switch on." Um. So continuing on, I think we can finish this plot line off. Um, they, continue to lead Hank out into the strip and, says, "You have to tell me what's going on." And, Hank's
bro.
like, "Hey, I just wanted to make a world, that was worth you living in outside in this vault." And, you know, it is just like, and it's like, I guess a nice idea, completely psychopathic, but it is a nice idea, right?
Mhm.
And it is that kind of thing of like, he knows and she knows they're not going back to the vault. There's no way they're going back to the vault. But at the same time, they also know that the Legion is coming. And, Hank's like, I could really, hey, we could really help with that. But she doesn't want to go down that path,
Yeah.
and start, mind controlling everybody. But what Hank does tell her is that, we're already on the, miniature mind control chips. He says there's people all over the wasteland who had the chips already inside of them, the R&D team, right? And they're following orders that have already been settled for them 200 years ago. And this is where we really can see that Hank is part of the Enclave, right? He always has been part of the Enclave. So he's working for the Enclave and helping them in their,
Yeah.
plan to control things. And he, and you had this kind of this moment where she doesn't want to hurt him. And Hank is, also I guess doesn't want to give up too much of his own information. So he does one thing that this show does a lot of that really infuriates me is Hank kind of says something vague in aura farms before turning off his
Yeah.
ability to think. So he goes like, the surface is the real experiment, not the vaults, right? And does a little flip on the Fallout lore. You're like, what do you mean the surface is the real experiment? Dun, 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 dun.
They're in a big vote.
Hank, that doesn't make any sense, Hank.
But no,
Hank,
I mean, have you okay, work with me now. Have you heard of of glass wall theory?
Glass theory. Oh, then that explains why you can't when you run into the edge of the map. That's actually because
Yeah, yeah.
it's all experiment.
It's solid wall, baby. It was in
You
front of us the
know.
entire time.
Yeah, Hank, when the Enclave got smoked out like 3 times in the wasteland, was that also part of the experiment? Was it also part of your grand plan?
And it can't all be perfect. And again,
Yeah. And this is yet another thing where it's just like people do this all the time in this show. Where I want people to have conversations and talk about things so badly. I want
Yeah.
people to give their real opinions on the wasteland, and not in an exposition way, but talk about things going on in this rich world. But instead of that, people just are vague and aura farm.
there's a war coming.
I'm just like, whoa, just say it. Just say what's on your mind, please.
There's no time. There's no
There's
time.
plenty of time. We have so much time.
But yeah, no, I feel you. This is, it's just obviously though, it's for them to save some mysteries for season 3, or 4. Yeah, no, it was a. I can see why it would be annoying of him, at that. But I mean, I did like how he went out. I did like Lucy's reaction. It was a sad moment, between her and her dad when he flipped the switch and he just kind of forgotten all about her.
Yeah.
And he's essentially just like he's just a new. I want to say he's like low key like been regulated to like a kid, low key.
Yeah. Well, he kind of like NPC-ifies himself.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's just generically helpful, but not like, there's no father-daughter relationship there. So I think he turned the amnesia setting up pretty high,
yeah.
to make sure.
Do you think he'll be relevant in the? I mean, not relevant, but do you think he will do anything in the future, or do you think Lucy will just kind of like keep him here?
It depends if it's really irreversible, right? If it's really irreversible, then I think it'd just be kind of like a sad case. But if it's reversible, or there's a way to get people out of it, then you can bring him up. You can bring him back. He's not the character that can be put on the shelf for right now, but without having definitively be there or not there.
Mhm. Yeah, because low key, I'm thinking it's irreversible. I feel like yeah, maybe yeah, true. The Enclave, it's this big scientific group and whatnot, yada yada yada. But like, I feel like this chip is an end all be all. Like, it is like the equivalent of kind of you know how in Game of Thrones the Ice King's army,
Yeah, yeah.
that this is kind of how I feel with the chips. It's like once you get infected, that's kind of GG's. So
Now, I'll say the lore bit about there being people finisher chips out there is very interesting, right?
yeah,
I think that is a cool thing. That is a cool thing, and I suspect they'll use that where they'll have characters who are NCR, Legion, whatever factions we meet, and actually they've been shipped, right? And they're on
mhm.
their own plan. So I think that is interesting. We also
Do you
cut
think there's
back to yep.
oh, yeah, like I said, do you think there's anyone that's currently chipped that we yet don't know of or that
Um,
you might suspect?
I got nobody. To be honest, I really got nobody. I mean, there's probably a guy in the Legion, right? Probably an NCR person, but like then again, I just don't know because none of the other, there hasn't been a real strong side character that I would feel that would take that place, right?
Thaddeus.
No.
Hey, I mean, he turned into a new mutant, bruh. The Enclave might need that.
Um, but yeah, so then we have the bit with Vault 32, where you know the vault dwellers are banging on the door, and they are and Steph opens up her box, the keepsake box from Hank,
Mhm,
and it's not FEV. I thought it was FEV. Right, I thought it was going to be this Turn People Mutants, but turns out it's a special Enclave branded Pip Boy, and that Pip Boy goes hard. I need one in the games,
mm, okay.
please, or modders, do your thing, because that all black, whoo, all black Pip Boy, the Enclave logo, that's clean. Okay, that is clean. So Steph puts it on and radios the Enclave, to the activate phase 2. And I must say, last episode, right? Right before, because I think we recorded it on like either a Sunday or a Monday, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think I put the clip on TikTok or YouTube, the day before, the day of the episode coming out. But I took a 3-point shot from half court, right where I said I think Steph is going to join up with the Enclave, okay? Because that's the next step. This is her chance. She has no other options, so I think she's joining the Enclave. Swish, all net, nothing
Yeah,
but
no.
net, brother.
Oh, you caught
Okay,
it. Caught it.
all right. You come to here because I may not be the greatest analysis, but I know television. I know my theories. All right, and you follow us because you do not know the way. I do. Okay.
Hey, that's the reason why you're the veteran.
um.
How about you touch some
So
grass, though? You got your theory right, all right? That's cool.
I've
That's cool.
I've
But
I've, I've, tr- I've
Oh,
transcended the grass. All right. So and also the bit where Chet and the other people are banging door. I think they're yelling death to
yeah,
management.
yeah,
Which is what was written on the walls in season 1. Where remember when they
that's
go into
right.
Vault 32 where they all
Yeah,
killed each other. So I
yeah,
don't know what happened in that, but it is repeating.
yeah.
And
And
I'm
Chet's kinda looking around
curious.
too.
I am curious what it means when he says phase 2, because we already know there's Enclave and FEV and all this going on, all these connections, and I don't know what the phase 2 of this fault is and how that is going to immediately help Steph. But the message is received somewhere in the mountains,
Yeah,
uh, which looks very similar to the base that the Doctor Rulzig was from
mhm,
season 1. So the Enclave is up and kicking, and they look like they're doing pretty great, all in
yeah,
all. Like, they are a pretty good facility. It's in the mountains. They got train. They got their iBots. Like, they're rocking and rolling, all in all.
yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, no, I thought it was yeah, I think it's cool how they kinda connected Steph to the Enclave in the end. I don't mind how her thing ended. I just think that we could have had a bit more before that point. And maybe and again, this is another thing where it's just like maybe they'll get into and do it in season 3 or the next season, right? But it's a real like, what was her plan? She's doing all this stuff in Vault 31. Like, what was the plan? Like before the mob became the mob, and like, why did she want to marry Chet? Why did she
yes. Well, what,
like
what, what, did, what did this all gain?
what's the goal?
Yeah, because
You know what I mean?
she clearly wanted to, get the, um, what do you call it, the
Pip
keepsake,
yeah.
the Pip-Boy, but, like, when she got that, what was
What
what was she just gonna sit on it? Like,
yeah, like, what was, like, your original plan before it got to the point of, "Okay, now I have to call off the experiment," and I gotta get in contact with Enclave?
well, I'm sorry, we don't have answers, we have our farming and vagueness.
I
This
guess
this
we'll
is
never
my
know.
yeah, this is truly my main contention with this season 2, is a lot of it is hype moments Nora, um, instead of, like, proper writing, and this is why I say this works as a mid-season finale. If the show is coming back in 6 months, I'd be fine. I'd be excited. I'd be like, "Wow, I can't wait to see it." This is or if it was, like, proper television, like The Walking Dead or
Mhm.
whatever. Like, there's tons of shows where you might not get all the answers, but, "Oh, the show is gonna be back," But with this, I'm just like, a year I have to wait at least a year and a half?
I think if they had, like, 1 or 2 more episodes, maybe they
Yeah.
could have cranked out, like, some of the rough edges.
And it makes me even more
That's
upset about all the dumb stuff, okay? I'm even more mad that we got the Uranium Fever Reggie musical moment. Because why? For what purpose?
yeah,
That is the biggest
didn't
the
get
entire
anywhere.
plot line's a time waster.
Yeah, it
Like,
didn't get
so
anywhere,
much
so
of it just feels like a gigantic time waster, where, I'll say, the scenes are well acted,
yeah,
they're well shot, they're well put together, but if I just feel like we were kinda, like, going in circles this season, where things happen, but not enough
yeah,
for what the plot kind of requires. Um, so from there, we, go back to I guess we can go back to Maximus, who is continuing to fight, this Death Army. And he takes out most of them, but there's still a few left. And his armor is toast. And he gave it a good fight, right? And
mhm,
there's a moment where they see him counter the armor, and they're like, "He's just a kid."
mhm,
He gets the flashbacks of Shady Sands and his dad telling him to be a good man, and he just goes there with nothing but a pool cue and a roulette wheel as a shield, which goes hard. It goes
yeah.
pretty hard. We need shield items in the game, please.
Please
Bro,
talk
that would
about
be such a cool weapon. Because pool cue is already a weapon, but like a roulette shield and a pool cue would be a sick weapon. Um, and so you have that moment where the guy is like, we should help him, but the other people are like, nah, nah, we're good.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
So he has all these flashbacks to like the
Which is a
Brotherhood of
very
Steel Knight. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a very I feel like the show did this on purpose, but it is a very funny, like, reference to the Spider-Man,
Yeah.
a scene in both, the movies where it's just like, people are like, "Oh, he's a kid?"
Yeah.
Uh, "You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us."
So
But
it
that's
turns
how it
out, no.
you mess with one of us, then that's his problem. It
Yeah.
sounds like a "You ain't messing with me."
But he is not. It just turns out he does get help because at that moment when Deathclaw charges him, right, he gets the Deathclaw shot like right through the eye, dead. Right, like
Yeah.
it's a pretty powerful shot too, and like Maximus is like Thaddeus, and Thaddeus is like, no, I didn't do that. He's still fiddling with his foot, and he points over to the roof of the Silver Rush, and in a really sick scene, okay, because this scene got me. This scene did get me. The NCR are back, baby. Okay, the boys are back in town as boys are back in town. Yeah, um, where we see an NCR soldier or ranger, right, shoot the Deathclaw with an anti-material rifle, and it's this really cool like slow-mo shot. And the best part about that shot is it is pretty much the exact shot from the opening of Fallout New Vegas, right?
Mhm.
When you open up Fallout New Vegas, right, and it plays the opening movie, one of the first scenes is like a NCR ranger in the exact position, like shooting a guy from far away. So they recreate that with the classic Fallout theme blaring
Oh, that's
as it's very fan service, but I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
oh, that's good for you.
Um
I didn't think it messed with anything of the plot.
Yeah. I
about
mean,
it.
and for you, I guess it was just a cool moment.
Yeah.
But it meant something to me, okay? It meant something to me. And the NCR come back in full force, right? We see that lady who's like, "Yep, I am like I said, NCR strong return." Episode 8, they returned. Yet another theory, correct? Okay,
Yeah, yeah, no, you
this is why you come here. All right.
Hey, yeah, no, you called it. The NCR did the NCR did return. Uh so I'm like I knew that when I saw that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, he's popping off right now.
Yeah. It was a great scene. It was a great scene, the Death Claws could take him out. And they're back. They're back in the strip. They're back, in Freeside, and now they've come back in full force, returned to Mojave, which is pretty cool. You know, then I guess we get a scene, I guess after the Lucy scene and this scene, Maximus and Lucy finally reconnect, right? They reunite and, they're kind of ready to take on the world. And meanwhile, uh, the ghoul finally gets to the cryo chamber room. Um, and who Kausa says, like, if his family is not there, he's not gonna be able to protect him from the Enclave, and his family is not there. It's empty. And, he's kind of distraught at first, but then he sees a postcard to Colorado,
Mhm.
and it says a note from Barb, which says Colorado was a good idea. And, the ghoul, he's almost like tearful, where he says, the first time in 200 years, I know my family's alive. So he has a kind of new determination to get out there and find them, because he knows that they went to Colorado instead. Um, or left at some point to Colorado. Um, so he drops the Pit Boy, and House is like, "No, we still have business. You have to work for me." And I don't know why he's freaking out this much. Um, this is the classic. This, as we talked about earlier, I don't know. It's like, is it because he knows he has the cold fusion? I don't think he does. So I don't know, House man. Like you can be like, oh, I guess I didn't get this employee. Oh shucks. But you can probably get another guy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know, man. House is a real enigma.
And yeah, and then you have this kind of thing where it's just like, it also kind of sucks because the main group, the main trio, aren't together, which I think would have been a fun thing. But now, no, we're back to like Coop, doing his own
Keep
thing
on,
with
so
dog meat.
yeah.
So it's looking like season 3 is gonna be a split between um
Lucy and
the
Thaddeus.
ghoul,
Not
yeah,
Thaddeus, Lucy and Maximus. Actually, not Lucy and Thaddeus. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I see what you do with Fallout. The
yeah.
sparks.
Thaddeus is still like ghouling as Thaddeus mutants out. Um, and then Ghoul and Dog Meat doing their own thing.
Mm,
And, it's pretty interesting, and then we see him looking over the desert, and he's ready to, like, go find his family in Colorado.
yeah.
And then also, Lucy and Maximus go to the top of the penthouse for no reason.
Mhm.
Reasons unclear. I don't know why they went to top of the penthouse. Once again, I guess to our farm. They go to the top of the penthouse and look out, and they see um, the incoming Legion army. And Lucy's like, "Oh, it's gonna be war. It's gonna be my fault." And to Maximus is like, "It'd be like that, you know. Sometimes you just start a war accidentally. It'd be like that,
It's just Tuesday for me. You know what I mean?
you know." And House appears for like a little bit, to say, "Oh, I'm still here." Da, 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 da. Um, and the last thing is we see, like, I guess in the credits, we see a little bit of the um free side and the strip, and we see that um there's basically a siege happening where the Legion are outside the city, and then the everyone else NCR is inside. So now it's kind of the setup. I think for season 3 it's going to be NCR versus Legion, with Lucy and Maximus helping them, and I suspect it'll be they have to make a deal with Mr. House, right? Where Mr. House can help them beat the Legion, right? He might have another bank of like robots somewhere, or some kind of technology, or some kind of thing that can help them beat the Legion.
Yeah.
Um, but they just need the help, from them to do it. And he's gonna be kind of like a manipulating voice, right, of his own kind of plan and machinations. And, you know, this is, as I brought up earlier, we kind of went through the season just to go back to where we were in the games. And I swear, what's building up to be, they're going to have the Legion and the NCR and the House. That's 3 factions all fighting for control over the wasteland. And it's like, I already did that. You know, we did that, and the stakes were better last time. It's like we build up to fight to do like a lesser version of the game, and that just irritates me.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, maybe they'll do something different. You know what I mean?
yeah, maybe.
They just show zag when we expect the zig.
What I can hope, right? I hope we go in a new direction. We also see something very crucial in those credits,
Yeah.
that you might have missed
Oh, no, I think I
is
noticed it.
the what?
The referring to the Liberty Prime.
No. In the credits, in the animated credits.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get to Liberty Prime, but the anime credits, as it pans out and you see the poster for the Rockies, the thing, you
Mhm.
see meat bags, right? And the meat bags are like bags like of like gore of you know uh legs and arms and viscera and whatnot, hanging around. And there is one faction that loves their meat bags. Okay? And
Mhm.
that's super mutants.
Oh,
So
it was already kind of confirmed that they were coming back.
yeah. So what I think it's gonna be super mutants are gonna represent like the 4th faction,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that can make it interesting. The super mutants show up, back again. Um, I mean, overall, well, we can say the last part before you talk about the whole season as a whole. But yeah, as we brought up, we see it in the credits. We see that Quintus, I guess, who's managed to repel a lot of the the other Brother of Steel members during the Civil War, is like, um, did you bring me the blueprints? And it's like, well, I will no longer be Quintus the Unifier. I'll be Quintus the Destroyer. And he has the blueprints for Liberty Prime Alpha, and we see the big robot that I was talking about. So yet another okay. And yeah, but at the same time, I don't feel good about it.
Damn.
I was right, but I don't feel great about it because it's kinda hack. It's a little hack.
Do you think
It's it's a little it's a little like, you know, um, like putting Darth Vader in a Star Wars thing, right? Or like,
I
having
mean,
like a certain thing where it's just like, "Oh, that's cool," but it's like, does it need to be here?
I mean, with how you described it, I think this show's gonna get to the Liberty Prime eventually.
Yeah.
And now that House is back, I could see it being a case of House trying to implement his mind into the Liberty Prime. So now he's this giant super robot
Mm, that could work.
threatening the wasteland.
So, I mean, that's the season. I mean, that's the episode, that's the season. And it's an okay season, right? In my
Mhm.
opinion.
Yeah.
It For what it's worth, I don't think it did enough with the setting. And this is
Yeah.
the problem. This is the key problem when you're using the video game stuff. And I think what they did with it wasn't bad, but at the same time, they could have done more. There's so many more factions in New Vegas. There's so many very interesting and intricate factions in New Vegas that just weren't utilized at all in the show, right? Um, there is a faction of super mutants who are nice, for example, right? There's a peaceful faction of Syrians that are doing their own thing, like in the mountains,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
There is, of course, like all different gangs, like the Kings, which I guess they're all ghouls now.
Yeah.
There's like the Fiends, who are their own group of raiders. There's the followers of the Apocalypse, who are a group of kind of like um people who, unlike the Brotherhood, like they get pre-war technology, but it's to share with the people, right? They're kind of like this charity slash but the goal is to help people, right? They help people in the wasteland and with food and water and medicine and try to make things better. That's a faction that's in Freeside. It would have been interesting to see, you know. And it kind of flies in the face of what the nihilism that the ghoul is like, oh, everyone's blah blah blah. Like they are like that kind of nice faction and they're absent. Um, there's all kinds of gun runners. There is the Crimson Caravan. And there's all these like little the Great Khans, like all these little things that could have expanded the world and could have been episodes in their own right. That the characters could have just interacted with. I'm not saying it should have been like, like in this episode, we see these guys, and it's like a theme park. But you could have used the world to do more, but it felt like they were terrified of playing around in their own worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
And
feel
but
you. That's kinda why I like that's why I kinda feel like I like the first season a bit more.
yeah,
Because they actually did, like, explore the world and, I probably because it was, like, the season to show you how
yes.
the wasteland is, you know what I mean?
And we didn't even find out anything about Moldaver this season.
Yeah, no, not really. I guess we're
Like,
done with her.
there's so many things where like we didn't find out like from season one. There's still plot threads from season one that we don't truly know about, and um, it's just a shame um that it just wasn't developed. And I think the best parts of this season are in the past, right?
Mhm,
All the stuff from the pre-war is fantastic. All the way it develops the lore in the pre-war is great. Like we saw the Alaskan War, right? We got the Death Claws. We saw the Chinese soldiers. We saw Lucky 38. We saw how the world really functioned and expanded the lore in this really great way. And I think because it was not directly connected to a game, they
mm,
felt freedom to do that.
to
But
do
as
it.
soon as like they get to New Vegas stuff, it's like they're scared, right?
Yeah,
Everything has to be vague. Like, who knows who won, whatever, because you don't want to invalidate player choice. And I think they should have just stuck
stuff
with it.
stuff
I
with it.
think they should, I think it was cute at first, but to be honest, they should have just said, no, we're doing this,
Yeah,
right? Actually, this is what happened here, here, and here. And this is what we're going to say the canon is. People have been mad about it, but at the same time, you would have benefited from having a straight narrative and a concrete narrative that you could work off of, right? Because if they knew
yeah,
that, okay, the courier made this choice, this choice, this choice, and this choice, and then you could just go off of that.
mhm,
And it would be a much more coherent time. But because everything has to be vague and obscure, it kind of makes it more annoying as someone who knows the game. Because then at some point I'm like, well, what about that guy? Right?
yeah,
And I hate to be that person, but there's many things in the show where I'm like, yeah, but I play the game and this faction could take care of the whole thing. Right? Like I thought this was already a fixed problem.
mhm,
The entire game in Fall to Vegas, you're fighting over the Hoover Dam because the Hoover Dam controls the water and electricity for the area. So who has the Hoover Dam then? Like, that would greatly impact the rest of the game. Was it the Yes Man? Is it House? Is it here? And if House has the Hoover Dam, then why does he even need the Cold Fusion?
yeah,
Right? Like there's just so many things like that. And there's so many other factions that would be interesting to have, but like, I don't know. We have a whole plot line of Brotherhood of Steel, but there is a Brotherhood of Steel faction in New Vegas that just, who knows? There's a whole Mojave chapter in New Vegas that I guess we just know nothing about. Did they all die off? Did they get incorporated? Whoever there's a whole there's a Brotherhood of Steel companion that you have in that game called Veronica, who has her own story. But who can say? We don't know because we can't make a choice. we can't dare to make a choice about this game. And I think the entire thing has kind of nihilism sometimes of like the wasteland's so cruel, people will screw you over and this and that,
yeah.
right?
But
And that's
really, it's
true, but there's tons of good people and good factions in New Vegas, like the followers of the apocalypse. That would be a cool group for Lucy to meet
mhm,
because that kind of fits with everything that she's saying the wasteland should be doing,
yeah.
right? But I guess they're just not around,
Unfortunately, the
right?
Legionnaires, eliminated everyone.
Eliminate everyone.
Yeah,
The Legion could have been better explored. The NCR could have
yeah,
been like there's all kinds of things that could have been better explored. You have multiple times where the Cooper will go to a storage place that used to be NCR, and it will just be filled with like weapons. Like last episode, they just go to a whole NCR town just filled with weapons and tech. It's like, why was that abandoned? They
yeah,
just
I was
left.
low-key wondering that in the last episode, but I was thinking, like, Cooper
They just retreated and like nobody took anything. They just left the whole power armor behind.
had
You know, um,
It's a real, like, you gotta know.
it's just stuff like that to me is frustrating. Um, and it's why I'm kind of excited about next season potentially, because next season takes place in Colorado, and there is lore for that,
Mhm.
but the lore is a lot more ill-defined because it's all based off of the Fallout Tactics game, Brotherhood of Steel, and not many people have played it. I definitely have not played it. It's kind of the black sheep of the franchise, and it's not as concrete. We do know in Colorado there is Vault Zero,
Okay.
which is supposed to be like
First
the
vote?
the head vault, the main vault, where they're all doing their technology. One of the ideas of why the vaults are happening and all these experiments are happening is because the main goal is for the vault tech to use that data to make generation ships. Like those like big, from sci-fi, those ships that can travel to a different solar system or galaxy and have people on it where it's going to go on for so long that the first people who pilot it aren't even going to live to get to the next location. That's why they call it generation ships, right?
Mhm.
So if you're going to run a generation ship, you kind of want to know all of the different factors in human behavior and how to control a population and all this stuff. And all those experiments can help facilitate that. So there's a big there's all kinds of different things. There's supercomputers, robo brains, all kinds of stuff happening there. I don't know. I think they'll combine Vault Zero with the Enclave,
Mhm.
and have that be like one big faction that they have to fight. But like I'm excited for season 3. I didn't
Yeah.
hate season 2. I mean, I know I'm complaining a lot. But season 2 had a ton of great stuff, right? It
Yeah.
had a lot
Yeah.
of great moments, some great action, some amazing practical effects, and all the actors did an incredible job,
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
These characters are great. Like, I love the main cast, like Lucy, Maximus, Norm, Cooper, Barb, Hank, Thaddeus,
Yeah.
all the different Brotherhood of Steel guys, all the Vault Dwellers, Steph,
Chat.
Chat. They're all fantastic, and they carry the show. I think the performances carry the show, and the filming techniques and all that stuff are incredible. And the beat-to-beat story is okay. The
Yeah.
overall plot,
A bit iffy. More
and
leaves room to be desired.
And I think this season was like, well, we want to get to here, right? We
Mhm.
want Cooper to go from here to here and then end up as out in Colorado. We want this person, Lucy, to be here. We want Maximus to be here.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that in eight episodes, I think you could have done it differently, right? You should have concentrated more or stretched it out and just had the group go on adventures, right?
Yeah.
Go on adventures and then do the main plot when you're doing the main plot. I think that would have been better. And I'm excited for them to go a place where there is not that much lore because I just want to see new things, new factions. And you can have more freedom to express yourself as a writer when you're not terrified of making a choice because you want to make people mad.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I think I have like similar sentiments with you. This season was pretty like overall, right? I don't think the season was bad. Uh, and as much as I have like disappointments with how the finale handled things, it's still a pretty good show. I still like it, and I'm still looking forward to the next season. Just sometimes, you gotta you gotta nail some of these points that you bring up. Otherwise, it's gonna leave
Yeah.
like a sour taste. But the bits are still good. Like I still think the jokes are that they a lot of jokes still land. You know what I mean? Like even though the
Oh
plot
yeah.
point didn't go anywhere, the incest club joke is still pretty
It's
pretty
pretty
funny.
funny. It's pretty funny. The Caesar's Palace bit's great.
Yeah,
Like there's all like I said, like this is a good show. I'm still excited for season 3. I just think they can step up. And I think season 3 is gonna be a lot of payoffs. So I think it's gonna be a better season because we're gonna see the
actually get the
fruit of
payoff.
these
Yeah,
things. But I've said many times this season, the setup episodes are always kind of like the but the payoff episodes are great.
hmm
And as it turns out, I didn't know. It turns out we weren't in setup episodes. This was a setup season. That's actually the big twist. As like
yeah.
Hank goes like, you thought you were watching like the episode isn't a setup. The season is. And you're like,
Oh.
So since the third season's gonna be the payoff season, I think it's gonna be better. But that being said, we have a rating system that we have adopted for other things, and we will apply it here. Where we're gonna say, do you believe Fallout Season 2 is trash, mid, or peak?
Season 2,
Mm-hmm.
man, I did the calculations, and unfortunately, I think it just misses the peak for me. So it'd probably
Yeah,
be in the mid section.
it's mid. It's mid for me. But we have one more clarification. Is it low mid, true mid, or peak mid?
I'll give it a peak mid.
Yeah, which I think is funny to say, but yes, Fallout Season 2 is peak mid. It's solid. It's not a bad time. It has a lot of great elements, fantastic music choices. I'm excited for where it's going, but it just didn't deliver.
Yeah.
I wish we lived in a world where TV came out faster again and people knew how to make television shows and, seasons could just go bang, 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 If this show was on AMC in like 2015, woo! But it's
Actually, what
it would not look as good. It would definitely wouldn't look as good and it'd be a little jank and, there'd definitely be some more budget limitations. But you know what? That'd be television. Okay, that'd be some real television if this was on AMC in like 2015. Or
Yeah.
or on like HBO. If this was like their Game of Thrones, right?
Mhm.
I think this could be it would be really great, and you had season after season after season. But we don't live in a proper country or world anymore.
No, we
So
don't.
it's what it is. But I guess that is the Noob versus Veteran show, and I guess we're all done, with this format.
Thank you for following us on this adventure, everyone.
Unless so,
Oh,
we've decided the Noob versus Veteran format is actually kind of fire, and we want to explore more video game adaptations.
Mhm,
Because
mhm,
there's all kinds of adaptations where maybe I'm the noob and O's the veteran, or vice versa.
mhm.
So we will review our next video game adaptation for an episode, I guess, next week, expect around next Tuesday or Wednesday, and we will be reviewing Phoenix Wright. Specifically, let me pull it up. There is an adaptation by the Phoenix Wright adaptation by Takeshi Meek. Uh, that came out in 2012, called Ace Attorney,
Yeah.
and I have never played a Ace Attorney game in my life.
And
I've
and I've
only seen the memes.
and I've played all of them.
So
Every single one.
next week, I'll be the noob and Supa O will be the veteran as we review Ace Attorney.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if that strikes your fancy and you want us to cover more video game adaptations, please drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and all that jazz. And honestly, if there's any other video games you want us to, video game adaptations like TV, movies, etc., you want us to review, we will take a look at them. And yeah, we'll just keep going on this journey.
Yeah,
So
and this is just a way for us to, get closer to you guys, because everyone out there makes it possible for. So thanks for sticking
truly,
around and not falling out of touch with us.
oh, you get it. All right. Yep. All right. Um,
One more for the road.
you know what I say? Good luck doing that next week. I want to see how you can drop Ace Attorney awkwardly. Please, like, everyone, keep your ears open. But all right, catch y'all later.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, got it. No, there's no change in the plan. Bye.